Picture this. Sarah, a 28-year-old marketing executive, sits across from two men at a coffee shop. One is 29, conventionally attractive, with a 6F-figure job. The other is 42, average-looking, middle income. By every logical measure, she should choose the younger guy. But something pulls her toward the older man, and she can't quite explain why. 3 months later, they're inseparable. What happened here? The answer isn't what you think. And by the end of this video, you'll understand the psychological force that makes certain older men absolutely magnetic to women, regardless of looks or money. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I break down the psychology behind human behavior and relationships in ways that actually make sense. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most misunderstood dynamics in modern dating. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell, because this is information most people will never tell you. Section 1, the myth vs. reality. Let's address the elephant in the room first. When people talk about why women are attracted to older men, they usually throw around the usual suspects: money, status, maturity, or some evolutionary biology about providing and protecting. And sure, those factors can play a role, but here's what the research actually shows, and it's far more interesting than the cliches. A study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology followed over 12,000 participants across different age groups and relationship dynamics. What they found surprised even the researchers. When women described what made them feel deeply attracted to a partner, especially an older partner, the number one factor wasn't financial stability, it wasn't physical attractiveness, it wasn't even emotional maturity in the traditional sense. It was something called secure presence. Now, before you click away thinking this is just another buzzword, stay with me because this concept is backed by decades of psychological research and understanding. It can completely transform how you see relationships. Section 2, what is secure presence? Secure presence is the quality of being completely comfortable in your own existence without needing external validation to feel okay about yourself. It's the opposite of trying to prove something. It's the absence of anxious energy that screams, "Please like me, please approve of me, please choose me." Dr. Judith Siegel, a clinical psychologist who studied attachment and attraction for over 30 years, explains it like this. When someone has secure presence, they create a psychological safe space just by being themselves. They don't need to fill every silence. They don't need to impress you with achievements, and they don't crumble when challenged. They're simply there, fully there. Here's why this matters so much to women, especially when they encounter it in older men. Our brains are wired to detect authenticity at a subconscious level. When someone is trying too hard, when they're performing or posturing, it triggers what psychologists call incongruence detection. Basically, our nervous system picks up on the gap between who someone is pretending to be and who they actually are, and it creates subtle anxiety. But when someone has secure presence, there's no gap. What you see is what you get. And that congruence is incredibly rare in modern dating, where everyone is curating their image, trying to say the right things and constantly seeking validation through likes, matches, and approval. Section 3, the neuroscience behind the attraction. Now, let's get into the brain science because this is where it gets really fascinating. When a woman interacts with a man who has secure presence, something remarkable happens in her nervous system. Her amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for threat detection, starts to quiet down. At the same time, her ventral vagal system, which is part of the parasympathetic nervous system responsible for feelings of safety and social connection, becomes more activated. This isn't conscious. She's not thinking, "Oh, his secure presence is activating my ventral vagal system." She just feels calm, seen, safe. And here's the key. In a world full of anxiety, stress, and constant stimulation, feeling genuinely calm around someone is intoxicating. Research from the Gottman Institute shows that women consistently report feeling most attracted to partners who make them feel emotionally safe. Even more than partners who are exciting or passionate, and secure presence is the foundation of that safety. But here's where the age factor comes in. Why do older men tend to have this quality more often than younger men? Section 4, why older men develop this quality. The answer is both simple and complex: experience and ego death. By the time most men reach their late 30s and 40s, they've experienced enough failure, rejection, and humiliation that they've had to make peace with not being perfect. They've been fired, they've been dumped, they've made mistakes, and they've survived. This process naturally erodes the desperate need to appear perfect that plagues many younger men. Developmental psychologist Eric Erikson called this the stage of generativity versus stagnation, which typically happens between ages 40 and 65. During this phase, people shift from trying to prove their worth to actually living according to their values. They stop performing and start being. Think about it like this. A 25-year-old man is still figuring out who he is. He's trying on different identities, seeking approval from peers, building his career, and often deeply insecure about his place in the world. None of this is his fault. It's just where he is developmentally. But a 45-year-old man who's done the psychological work, he knows who he is. He's made peace with his limitations. He's not trying to be the coolest guy in the room because he's already learned that being the coolest guy in the room doesn't actually lead to fulfillment. This acceptance creates a groundedness that's extremely attractive. Section 5, real-world examples. Let me give you a concrete example of what this looks like in practice. Imagine two men on a first date. The first guy, let's call him Mike, is 27. Throughout the dinner, he's subtly named dropping his job title, talking about his gym routine, mentioning influential people he knows, and carefully monitoring how his date is reacting to everything he says. His energy is outward, seeking confirmation. The second guy, David, is 43. He asks genuine questions and actually listens to the answers. When there's a pause in conversation, he's comfortable with it. When his date challenges something he says, he doesn't get defensive. He gets curious. When the server makes a mistake with the order, he handles it with calm grace rather than trying to assert dominance. His energy is inward grounded. Who do you think the woman feels more attracted to by the end of the night? Psychology research on attraction consistently shows that women respond more powerfully to how a man makes them feel than to what he has or what he looks like. And secure presence makes women feel seen, safe, and valued in a way that accomplishments and appearance simply can't replicate. Section 6, the dark side and misconceptions. Now, I need to address something important because not every older man has secure presence, and secure presence isn't exclusive to older men. Some older men are just as insecure and approval-seeking as their younger counterparts. They've just gotten better at hiding it or have developed different coping mechanisms. And some younger men naturally possess this quality because they've been through challenging experiences that force them to develop it early. Also, let's be clear, secure presence is not the same as being emotionally unavailable or aloof. Some men mistake not caring for being secure, but they're opposites. Secure presence means being fully present and engaged while not needing a specific outcome to feel okay about yourself. Emotional unavailability is protecting yourself by not engaging at all. The difference is crucial. One draws people in, the other pushes them away. Section 7. Can this quality be developed? So here's the million-dollar question. Can you develop secure presence, or do you just have to wait until you're older? The good news is that it absolutely can be developed, but it requires inner work that most people aren't willing to do. Here are the key components. First, you need to address your attachment patterns. If you have anxious attachment, you'll struggle with secure presence because you're constantly seeking reassurance. Therapy, particularly approaches like EMDR or internal family systems, can help heal early attachment wounds. Second, you need real-world experience with failure and recovery. You can't think your way into secure presence. You have to live through challenges and discover that you're okay, even when things don't go your way. This is why it often comes with age, but you can accelerate it by taking genuine risks. Third, you need to develop a strong internal reference point. This means knowing your values, trusting your judgment, and being willing to be disliked for being authentic. This is perhaps the hardest part because it goes against our social conditioning. Fourth, practice mindfulness and present moment awareness. Secure presence is literally about being present rather than lost in your head, worrying about how you're being perceived. Meditation, somatic practices, and even certain forms of therapy can help develop this capacity. So let's circle back to Sarah from the beginning of this video. What drew her to the older man wasn't his age itself. It was the quality he developed through years of living, failing, and becoming comfortable in his own skin. He had secure presence, and in a world where everyone is performing and seeking approval, that quality stands out like a lighthouse in fog. The most attractive thing you can be isn't rich, isn't ripped, isn't even particularly charming. It's real, fully, unapologetically real without needing anyone's permission to exist exactly as you are. If this video gave you a new perspective on attraction and relationships, hit that like button and let me know in the comments what quality you find most attractive in a partner. And if you want to dive deeper into the psychology of relationships, check out my video on attachment styles right up here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.